Hi, ArcFieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here at midday on Wednesday, December 29th. We have an active weather pattern that will continue across much of the nation over the next several days. It will include a pretty strong storm system on Saturday that looks like it'll have wide-ranging impacts across at least the eastern half of the nation, ranging from accumulating snow across the upper Midwest. Chicago, for example, could be in for a pretty decent snowstorm. Unusual warmth in the eastern part of the nation, even some record-breaking highs, a possibility to go along with some rain, and a severe weather outbreak is possible in the Tennessee Valley, maybe the Ohio Valley, all the way back to the Mississippi Valley on Saturday. It looks like a strong cold front comes through the eastern U.S. later in the day on Sunday into Sunday night. That ushers in a sharply colder air for Monday into the mid-Atlantic region, into the northeast U.S. That, however, will be kind of a temporary shot. Looks like Monday and Tuesday will remain seasonably cold, at least seasonably cold, maybe even a little bit below normal in the northeast and the mid-Atlantic region. But that warms up again probably in the Wednesday, Thursday time frame. And then another strong cold front looks like it'll sweep across the nation later next week, reaching the eastern U.S. sometime around Friday night time frame. It's a week from this Friday. I'm talking around January 7th or so. Both of these frontal passages, the one on Sunday night and the one next Friday night, January 7th time frame, will be active fronts. We'll have to monitor the situation. Both will have very strong upper level disturbances associated with those frontal systems. That late week or early weekend frontal passage next week, let's say the 7th or the 8th of January, looks like it'll usher in longer lasting type cold into the eastern half of the nation. Speaking of temperatures, let's take a look at the 12Z Gfs Operational Run, starting off here with 850 millibar temperature anomalies. Here we are on Wednesday. Very warm conditions for this time of the year across much of the south central, southeastern part of the nation, even into the mid-Atlantic region. It's a little bit warmer than normal for this time of the year. Very cold air remains kind of bottled up across the northwestern part of the U.S. down to California, and especially bitter cold air across western Canada all the way into the Pacific Northwest. Now let's move forward here and only focus in on the temperatures. Here we are. It remains quite a bit warmer than normal throughout much of the eastern half of the nation. This is now the Friday morning forecast map, about 48 hours from now. And then going into New Year's Day itself, it even intensifies some in the northeastern part of the nation. It could very well be 60 plus degrees on Saturday, January 1st for afternoon high temperatures. Places like D.C., Philadelphia, even New York City, some areas certainly can experience record-breaking high temperatures on Saturday. Look at this separation, though, between the very warm air to the east, very cold air to the north and west, and that intensifies some as well when you get into the interior part of the western U.S. by the early part of the upcoming weekend. Then we move forward here. Strong cold front finally pushes into the eastern U.S. during the day on Sunday. Looks like it comes on, blasting on through by Sunday night, and that will usher in sharply colder air late Sunday night into Monday, into the mid-Atlantic region, the northeast U.S., and really throughout the eastern part of the nation. And compared to what we'll experience on Saturday in the eastern U.S., it will feel much, much colder, even though it won't be all that far from normal for this time of the year, maybe a little bit below normal. But that will be kind of a rather short-lived cold air outbreak into the eastern U.S. Here we go. By the time we get to the middle part of next week, at least at the 850 millibar level, we're starting to warm up again. It stays cold on Tuesday, but then maybe next Wednesday, a week from now, starts to get warmer than normal much of the eastern half of the nation. But look at upstream. More bitter cold air across southwestern part of Canada, spilling over into Montana and the Dakotas. That is making a move to the south and east, and looks like there'll be another very strong cold frontal system into the moving into the eastern U.S. at the end of next week. We're talking a week from this Friday, the end of next week, around January 7th or so. Bitter cold air moves into the central plains. This next frontal system, as will the Sunday night frontal system, will be quite active with a lot of energy in the upper part of the atmosphere, both of which we'll have to monitor over the next few days. And that, again, pushes in some cold air into the eastern U.S. by the time we get to Saturday, January 8th. And this cold air outbreak looks like it'll be a little bit longer lasting for sure compared to what we've seen in the past few weeks, and even compared to what we'll see on Monday and Tuesday of next week. Again, a longer lasting appearance to this cold shot coming into the eastern half of the nation by the time we get to next week, and we're talking the 7th, 8th, and 9th of January. Now let's continue to look at the 12Z GFS model run, and we'll kind of focus in here on the 250 millibar jet stream, because I think there is a severe weather possibility in the Tennessee Valley on Saturday, and we'll see one of the reasons why will be very strong winds in the upper part of the atmosphere. This is how it looks as we begin the day on Wednesday. A lot of very strong winds aloft, separating the very cold air to the north and west and the very warm air to the south and east. Kind of a split nation right now, and it continues to be that way over the next few days. Here we go over the next 48 hours or so. And then we get into the day. This is now the Friday afternoon forecast map, Friday evening, and here we go. Now Saturday morning, again, this is the area of concern, in my opinion, with the possibility of severe weather. On the backside of this storm system on Saturday, there will be some accumulating snow across the upper part of the Midwest. Places like Chicago, for example, could get a decent snowstorm over the early part of the upcoming weekend. Here is the jet streak at 250 millibars as of Saturday evening, and again, right on the eastern side, the southeastern side, in the warm sector, there can be some severe weather we'll have to monitor, aided in part by these strong upper level winds. And again, very mild conditions in the eastern U.S. For the early part of the new month of January and the early part of the upcoming weekend. Now let's take a look at the 500 millibar vorticity pattern as depicted by the very latest GFS model run. The vorticity represents some spin in the upper part of the atmosphere, and that in turn leads to upward motion down at the surface level. So it's where meteorologists try to focus in on to determine where precipitation, low pressure systems may develop, and we'll watch kind of a pair of systems for the upcoming weekend, early part of the upcoming weekend event. Again, that'll result in a very strong system. Here we are moving through. Now, by the time we get to Saturday morning time frame, notice here one kind of wave of energy out here, and then a second one right on its heels. This is a Saturday morning forecast map. This initial system will contribute to the possibility of some severe weather right in this area right here on Saturday, and also contribute to a lot of rainfall coming to the eastern part of the nation. This is the system that will kind of be associated with that strong cold front by the time we get to late Sunday night time frame, and something we'll have to watch over the next few days. There's possibility as that cold air pours into the mid-Atlantic region, for example, could be some snow on the backside of that frontal system's Sunday night time frame going into early Monday. Let's now move forward here. Here we go now into Saturday afternoon. Here's that front-running upper level system, and again, snowstorm possible in the upper part of the Midwest, some severe weather in the Tennessee Valley, maybe the Ohio Valley back to the Mississippi Valley, and very warm, rainy conditions in much of the eastern U.S. Then we go into the day on Sunday. That passes on through, and this second wave is something by Sunday afternoon that will be quite impressive in the upper part of the atmosphere as colder air starts to press in. It kind of gets aligned with that incoming strong cold frontal system. We'll have to monitor it. This is a very impressive upper level low sitting right on top of the mid-Atlantic region by the time we get to later Sunday night, so it very well could lead to kind of an active frontal passage that could result in some snow in the mid-Atlantic region or the northeast U.S. as that colder air rushes in. It finally passes on through by the time we get to Monday, and cold air pours into the mid-Atlantic region in the northeast U.S. for Monday and Tuesday. But then warmer air returns by the time we get to middle and latter part of next week. Well, now let's wrap up by looking at the surface forecast maps from the 12Z GFS model run. Not too bad today in the Mid-Atlantic region. A little bit of rain here with the next developing low pressure area. We've multiple low pressure systems to deal with over the past few days and over the next few days. This system intensifies over the next 12 to 24 hours or so and spreads some more rain into the Mid-Atlantic region by the time we get to tonight, Wednesday night, into Thursday morning. That then pushes off the coast. Another low pressure area pushes into the Carolinas by the time we get to Friday morning, and then off the coast by later Friday. And then we have the setup for the Saturday storm. And here we go, Saturday morning. Notice wide-ranging impact from this storm, from accumulating snow over the Rocky Mountains, the Central Plains, some ice sandwiched in between the snow and the rain in the warm sector. And here is the area of concern for potential severe weather, maybe some heavy rainfall as well. By the time we get to Saturday afternoon, low pressure moving on top of the Tennessee Valley, keeping in mind the very strong winds in the upper part of the atmosphere will combine to create the possibility of some severe weather. And look at this accumulating snow across the Central Plains heading into the upper part of the Midwest. Heavy rainfall over the Ohio Valley by Saturday evening, and a rainy, mild day, very mild day in places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Could even be some record-breaking highs in much of the eastern U.S. on Saturday, January 1st. At the same time, accumulating snow heading into places like Chicago, maybe a pretty decent snowstorm there, maybe Detroit as well. And that pushes on into the eastern part of the U.S. And then we have to deal with that incoming cold blast, the cold frontal system. This is the Sunday afternoon forecast map. There's a very strong cold front at this time pushing into central Pennsylvania, eastern part of West Virginia, and keeping in mind it had all that energy in the upper part of the atmosphere, and it could cause an active frontal passage late Sunday afternoon into Sunday night, with rain changing to snow, at least in the interior parts of the Mid-Atlantic region and the Northeast U.S. Something we still have to monitor. Winds will get quite strong as well out of the northwest as that colder air pours into the Mid-Atlantic region. Here we are, Monday morning forecast map. This is a cold blast for the Mid-Atlantic region and the Northeast U.S. on the heels of whatever comes Sunday night. Post-frontal passage, there'll be quite a bit colder on Monday and Tuesday, especially compared with the record-breaking possibilities of warmth on Saturday. And Sunday will remain mild ahead of that cold front as well. Then it gets warmer again by the middle and latter part of next week in the eastern U.S., only to potentially be followed by another strong cold front at the end of next week, somewhere around Friday, January 7th. That could be a very active frontal passage as well, something we'll have to monitor next week for the end of next week. And that looks like it'll usher in kind of a longer lasting, a more sustained cold air blast into the central and eastern part of the nation. We're talking about the weekend of the 7th, 8th, and 9th of January. That's it for now. For ArcFieldWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.